You've been quite vocal about the so-called local pay.
Yeah.
It's plans for the government to bring in lower rates of pay in the north to reflect cost of living in the south. What are your views on this?
Well, the Tories tried to do this back in the 1980s and the 1990s. I mean, I was a civil servant in the 80s where they brought forward proposals to have regional pay within the civil service. So what it would mean is you would have two workers perhaps doing the same job in different parts of the country on different rates of pay. Now, there's always been a bit of flexibility in national pay bargaining in the public sector. You've got London Weighting, for example, where you need an extra bonus on element to someone's salary for a teacher, for example, to attract them to London because it's so expensive to live there. But this is even going to go further than that. It's not even regional pay, it's local pay. So you could have perhaps three workers doing the same job in three different locations in the northeast of England, all earning different wages. And what the government's trying to say is that public sector wages are actually crowding out private sector jobs. But if you look at the latest figures, there's 4,000 jobs in the public sector being lost in the northeast and 7,000 in the private sector. So I think that's a non-argument, really. And I just think it's people who've never had to work on low incomes. The average wage in the northeast is £19,000 a year, and that is as high as it is because of public sector wages are slightly higher in a lot of cases than the private sector. But my question to the government is, how low do you want the wages in the northeast to be? And what we should be looking at is not whether we should be cutting public sector wages, but what can we do to increase private sector wages, especially when the bosses in a lot of the big companies are earning a hell of a lot more than people on the shop floor.
You mentioned job losses there, private sector, public sector. A recent report has revealed that private sector jobs are disappearing faster than public sector jobs in the northeast. That must be a major concern.
Well, it is. I mean, like I said, this argument where public sector jobs are crowding out private sector jobs is actually wrong, because the reverse is basically happening in as much as we lose more private sector jobs than we are public sector jobs. And I want to see the private sector thrive. You know, we do need to get a lot of jobs into the area of that private sector to help grow the economy. That's why the Hitachi project is so important. And what I want to see actually is to get across to people that, you know, people criticise the public sector for a lot of things. But, you know, no one can tell me, and I don't believe, that because the Labour government increased the number of teachers, the number of police officers and the number of nurses, that caused the international global financial crisis that we had in 2008. And the Tories have managed to get away with the argument that was the reason for the financial problems we face today. But if you look what the government's done, it's cut too far and it's cut too fast, which means that people are being thrown under the door. We're having to borrow money from the financial markets to pay for unemployment benefit instead of borrowing money to invest to create more jobs, which means that it becomes a vicious cycle where they're having to make more cuts because they're having to pay out more unemployment benefit. They're having to cut the amount of unemployment benefit that's being paid out. So it's a vicious circle, and we need more than just austerity. What we need is a strategy for growth, and that's the one thing the government doesn't put forward at the moment.
I mean, recently the company called the Martin Gray Football Academy, which is a fairly young company operating in Newton Aycliffe, have launched a football academy in Greenfield, and Martin has just announced a course that is going to be running in the February half-term holiday for unemployed people. It's going to be a free course to help unemployed people improve their literacy skills and numeracy skills. Little things like that, they could help, couldn't they?
Well, these things do help, you know, and if sports is a way of getting people to improve their literary skills and their numeracy skills, then that is what we should do. I mean, you know, it's not just about sitting in a classroom. Some people get inspiration from doing sports, and if through doing sports you can, you know, you learn to read better and to do maths better, then that's fantastic. I'll be, you know, wanting to get involved in that and go along and see it for myself.